The elevator stopped with a sound like the world breaking its teeth. Elias Ward felt the floor drop a finger's width, then lock hard. The lights flickered once, twice, and went dark. The sudden silence pressed in on his ears, thick and heavy, broken only by the slow hum of failing systems somewhere behind the walls. He did not move at first. Years of engineering work had taught him that panic wasted oxygen and made bad decisions faster. He took a slow breath through his nose. The air tasted dry and faintly metallic. "Okay," he said out loud, mostly to hear a human voice. "Okay." The elevator was a vertical transit pod inside an alien megastructure so large that humans called it a city and aliens called it a minor facility. It traveled thousands of meters between stacked decks. Elias had been riding it to a maintenance level after responding to an automated fault alert. Routine work. Simple job. Nothing was ever simple off Earth. A faint blue glow appeared as emergency strips along the floor activated. The pod was small, meant for 4 occupants. 2 were inside now. Across from Elias, holding onto a side rail, stood Sayela. She was not human. She stood slightly shorter than Elias, with smooth, pale skin that shifted color depending on stress and light. Her eyes were large and dark, adapted for low-light environments. She wore a station researcher's uniform and a compact medical pack slung across her chest. Her grip on the rail tightened as the pod shuddered again. "It has stopped," she said quietly. "Yes," Elias replied.
"It has."
Sayla tilted her head, listening to the walls as if they might speak. This transit line should not stop between decks. "There are many safety systems." Belias smiled thinly.
"Yeah, we have those too." He crouched and pried open a maintenance panel near the floor.
Inside, cables blinked red and yellow. He ran his fingers lightly along the edge, careful not to touch anything active. "No power surge," he muttered. "No burn marks. Looks like a hard lock." Sayla watched him with focused attention. "Can you repair it?" "Not from in here," he said honestly. "These elevators are designed to be impossible to override locally. It keeps people from falling a few kilometers to their death." Her skin shifted a shade darker. "How long until rescue?" she asked. Elias checked the emergency console. It flickered, then displayed a dim symbol he recognized as the equivalent of a waiting icon. "Hard to say," he answered. "Could be an hour. Could be a day. Depends on how deep the shaft error goes." The pod creaked softly, settling into its jammed position. Sayela exhaled slowly. "I was taught that humans are physically weak compared to most spacefaring species." Elias laughed, short and dry. "That's not wrong. Then we must conserve you," she said. "Your species requires frequent intake of water and nutrients. That's also not wrong," he said. "But let's not start planning my funeral yet." He leaned back against the wall and slid down until he was sitting. The adrenaline rush faded, leaving behind the dull ache of stress. He took inventory of his body the way he had learned on long solo repair jobs. No injuries. Heart rate elevated, but steady. Mouth already dry. Sayela knelt across from him and opened her medical pack. A small device unfolded into a hovering scanner. It swept over Elias in slow arcs, emitting soft clicks. "Your hydration levels are already declining," she said. "You were working in a low-humidity environment before entering the pod." "Yeah," Elias said. "Human problem." "You did not bring liquid with you," she observed. "Also a human problem," he said. Sayla's fingers paused on the edge of the scanner. Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in fear, but in calculation. "I may be able to assist," she said. Elias looked up. "Do you have water in there?" "No," she replied. "But my species possesses an emergency biological function." He blinked. "You're gonna have to explain that one." She hesitated. then spoke carefully, as if translating concepts not meant for his language. In extreme stress or environmental danger, our bodies can produce a nutrient secretion, she said. It is used to sustain injured or vulnerable members of our kind until rescue arrives. Elias processed this slowly. Like medical paste? Closer to a complete metabolic support fluid, she said. It contains hydration, sugars, proteins, and immune regulators. His eyebrows rose. That's impressive.
She tilted her head. Your tone suggests disbelief. No, he said quickly.
Just appreciation. Humans mostly just panic and hope someone finds us. Saila studied him. It may be compatible with your biology. Preliminary data suggests humans can digest a wide range of compounds. That's our superpower, Elias said. We eat things we probably shouldn't and survive anyway. The pod shuddered again, this time more gently, like a tired animal shifting its weight. Sayla glanced upward. Structural stability is holding, but oxygen circulation has reduced to emergency minimum. Elias closed his eyes for a moment and ran numbers in his head. Okay, so we sit. We breathe slow. We don't waste energy. You are not afraid, she said. I am, he replied. I just don't let it drive. Minutes passed. Then, more. Time stretched thin and strange inside the sealed pod. The air grew cooler. Elias's mouth felt like cotton. His thoughts slowed just enough to worry him. Sayila watched him closely now, her professional calm masking growing concern. Your pulse is becoming irregular, she said. You require intake soon. Elias opened one eye. Define soon. Within hours, she said. Preferably sooner, he sighed. Figures. She drew a steady breath. I will produce the emergency secretion. He sat up sharply. Hold on. Is that safe for you? It is not dangerous, she said. But it is taxing. It is not meant for repeated use. He rubbed his face with his hands. I don't want you hurting yourself because I forgot a water bottle. Sayla's gaze was steady. Survival is a shared responsibility.
You are not a burden. That hit him harder than he expected.
Okay, he said quietly, but we do this smart.
She nodded. That is acceptable. She adjusted her posture, closing her eyes as her breathing changed, slower and deeper. The faint patterns on her skin shifted, glowing softly. Elias turned away slightly, giving privacy without really knowing if it mattered. A small sealed container from her medical kit, filled with a clear, faintly luminescent fluid. She handed it to him with both hands. For controlled intake, she said. For controlled intake, she said. Small amounts. He examined it. It smelled clean, almost like rain. Well, he said. Here goes humanity's dignity. The fluid was cool and slightly sweet, with no strong taste. It settled in his stomach without discomfort. Almost immediately, the fog in his head began to lift. That's actually really good, he said. Sayla allowed herself a small expression of relief. Your body is responding well, she said. Absorption rate is efficient. Elias leaned back, exhaling slowly. Guess humans really can run on anything. The lights flickered again, dimmer this time. Sayla looked at the console. Power reserves are decreasing.
Elias wiped his mouth and set the container aside carefully.
Then we adapt. She looked at him. How? He smiled, tired but sharp. We turn waiting into work. And as the elevator groaned around them, the human began planning how to survive a place no one was meant to stay. The elevator did not move. That fact became clear long before fear truly set in. Elias woke from a shallow half-sleep with his back pressed against cold metal and his neck bent at a bad angle. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the dim blue floor lights, the low hum of failing air circulation, and the tight space all came rushing back. Still trapped, across from him, Selah sat with her knees drawn close, eyes open. She had not slept. "How long?" Elias asked, his voice rough. 6 hours since your last intake, she replied. Approximately 9 since entrapment. He stretched carefully, joints popping softly. His body felt stiff but stable. That alone surprised him. "I don't feel as bad as I expected," he said. Selah studied him with open curiosity. "Your metabolism has adapted. The secretion appears to be interacting efficiently with your physiology. Humans are good at that," Elias said. "We're terrible at most things, but adapting fast is one of the few we do well." The pod creaked faintly as distant machinery shifted somewhere far above them. Dust drifted down from a seam in the ceiling. Selah looked up. External movement, but not rescue. Probably maintenance crews arguing about whose fault it is, Elias said. "That can take a while." She made a soft sound that might have been humor. The air felt thinner now. Not dangerously so, but enough that every breath required a little more thought. Elias glanced at the oxygen readout. "We're on emergency reserves. That means the system thinks rescue is coming."
"And if it is wrong?" Selah asked. "Then we make it right," he said.
She tilted her head. "Explain." Elias shifted closer to the wall panel he had opened earlier. "Most alien systems are built assuming nobody inside will interfere. Humans build things assuming someone will eventually do something stupid." He reached into his tool pouch and pulled out a compact multi-tool. "That means there are always weaknesses." Selah watched as he removed a small plate and exposed additional wiring. His movements were slow and careful, conserving energy.
"You are weakening," she observed. "Only if I panic," he replied.
"I work better tired than scared." He studied the wiring, lips moving silently as he traced paths and flows. After a moment, he shook his head. "No direct override," he said, "but I might be able to reduce power draw."
"Why?" she asked. "To make the air last longer," he said.
"If we lower temperature a bit more and reduce circulation speed, oxygen consumption drops. That will increase discomfort," she said. He smiled faintly. "Humans are very good at being uncomfortable." With slow precision, he adjusted a connection. The hum of the elevator changed pitch, becoming softer, slower. The temperature dropped another degree. Selah wrapped her arms around herself. "Your species evolved on a cold world?" "Not really," Elias said. "But we learned to tolerate it. Cold is easier than heat." Minutes passed, then an hour. The silence between them became heavy, not awkward, but dense with awareness. They were two very different beings, trapped in a space that did not care about either of them. Selah broke the silence. "Your heart rate has stabilized at a lower baseline." "Is that good?" Elias asked. "Yes," she said. "It suggests psychological control. Or stubbornness," he said. "Hard to tell." Her skin shifted to a lighter shade. "You are not as fragile as my people believe." He glanced at her. "We're fragile in different ways. Drop me from a height, I break. Starve me slowly, I'll keep walking just to see what happens next." She considered that. After another stretch of time, Elias's hands began to shake slightly. He noticed and stopped working. "Okay," he said. "Time for another small dose." Selah hesitated. "I am already experiencing fatigue." Elias met her eyes. "Then we slow down even more." "I don't need much." She produced a smaller amount this time, visibly straining afterward. Her breathing became shallow. Elias drank carefully, then pushed the container back to her. "No more for a while. You still require. I know what I require." he said gently. And right now, I require you not collapsing. She did not argue. That, too, surprised her. The elevator shuddered suddenly, harder than before. Selah gasped and grabbed the rail. Elias braced instinctively, spreading his weight. The pod tilted slightly, then settled. Alignment shift, Selah said, voice tight.
We are no longer centered. Elias checked the diagnostics. We're wedged.
That's bad for rescue, but good for falling. She swallowed. If the shaft destabilizes, then we don't think about that yet, he said. One problem at a time. The oxygen indicator ticked down another fraction. Elias leaned back, closing his eyes, forcing his breathing slow. In. Hold. Out. He pictured numbers, systems, old training manuals, anything but the walls. Selah watched him, fascinated despite her fear.
Most species panic when trapped, she said softly. They exhaust themselves.
Yeah, you replied? We do that too.
We just learned. It doesn't help.
Her voice lowered.
You are planning something.
Always, he said. Thinking burns less oxygen than moving. Hours passed.
Selah's strength continued to fade. Her posture slumped, and her skin patterns dulled. Elias noticed everything. He adjusted their schedule, speaking aloud to keep both of them focused. We talk once every 10 minutes, no more. Keeps the brain active without wasting air. She nodded. When her breathing became uneven, he guided her through slower rhythms, matching his own. At one point, the emergency console flickered and briefly showed a status symbol. Elias lunged forward, then froze as it went dark again. False wake, he muttered. Selah's shoulders sagged. Rescue delay exceeds acceptable probability. Then we extend acceptable, he said. She looked at him, truly looked as if seeing past the surface of his species for the first time. You should not be alive this long under these conditions, she said. He smiled weakly. You should see our history. The elevator groaned softly. Metal under stress. Elias reached up and placed his palm against the wall. Hold together, he whispered, not sure who he was speaking to. Selah's vision blurred. She blinked slowly. Elias? Yeah, he answered immediately. If I lose consciousness, you must regulate your intake without guidance. Not happening, he said. You stay awake. I may not have a choice. He shifted closer, grounding himself beside her. Then listen. Humans are stubborn.
We don't quit just because the math says we should. She managed a faint expression of amusement.
You trust defiance more than probability. Every time, he said. The air was thin now. Every breath counted, and still the human kept planning, adapting, refusing to let the universe decide the outcome alone. The elevator droned again, longer this time, a deep sound that vibrated through the floor and into Elias's bones.
He did not move right away.
He waited, counting breaths, feeling for changes. The pod tilted a little more than before, just enough that balance became work instead of instinct. Still holding. Selah stirred beside him, her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first. You drifted, Elias said softly.
I was not unconscious, she replied, though her voice lacked certainty. Only...
Quiet.
That's fine, he said.
Quiet is efficient. The blue floor lights dimmed another step. Shadows stretched longer, swallowing corners of the pod. Elias checked the console again. Oxygen reserves were low enough now that the numbers no longer bothered pretending. Selah followed his gaze. At current consumption rates, survival probability declines sharply. He nodded. That's why we changed the rates. She studied him, tired eyes sharp with concern.
You are planning to alter your own metabolism again? Already doing it, he said. Slower movement.
Less heat loss. Thinking instead of acting. You cannot think oxygen into existence, she said. No, he agreed. But I can think myself into needing less. He shifted his position, pulling his knees closer to his chest and wrapping his arms around them. It was not comfortable, but comfort was not the goal. Heat retention was. Sayela watched him closely.
Your species voluntarily endures stress?
All the time, he said. We even pay money for it. Cold water. High places. Long runs. She made a faint sound of disbelief. Minutes passed. The silence pressed in harder now, broken only by breath and the distant groan of metal. Sayela's breathing grew shallow again. Elias noticed immediately. Okay, he said quietly. We're adjusting the plan. There is no plan that removes the cost, she replied.
No,
He said.
but there are plans that move it.
He reached slowly for the small container and shook it. Empty. Sayela closed her eyes.
I cannot produce more safely. My reserves. I know, he said.
I'm not asking. She opened her eyes, alarm flashing across her features. Then, what are you proposing? Elias took a careful breath.
I reduce my needs further. That is not possible without risk, she said. He smiled faintly.
Risk is cheaper than certainty. Before she could respond, the elevator shuddered violently. The floor tilted sharply, throwing them sideways. Elias slammed into the wall, pain flaring across his shoulder. Sayela cried out as she hit the opposite rail. Metal screamed somewhere above them. Then, slowly, the pod settled again, now at a clear angle. Sayela clutched the rail, breathing fast. The structural alignment has worsened. Elias pushed himself upright. Wincing, he rolled his shoulder carefully. Still works, he muttered. She stared at him. You are injured. Minor, he said. Pain burns calories, but fear burns more. I'll take the pain. He checked the wall panel again, fingers trembling now. There, he said. That's new. A thin crack had formed along one seam, barely visible, but enough to leak a faint stream of cold air. Sayela followed his gaze. Hull stress fracture, also known as a problem, Elias said.
But maybe a useful one, she frowned. Explain. If air is leaking out, he said, then pressure is equalizing slowly.
That means we're not going to explode if rescue opens the shaft wrong. That is an optimistic interpretation.
Humans are very good at optimistic interpretations, he replied. Sayela's strength was fading fast now.
Her movements were slow. Her posture slumped. Elias shifted closer, placing himself between her and the colder wall.
You should rest, she said weakly. Your body requires. No, he said firmly.
If one of us sleeps, it's me. That contradicts your earlier strategy. Strategies change, he said. That's another human thing. He closed his eyes for a moment, forcing his breathing slower, deeper. He imagined turning dials inside his body, lowering everything unnecessary. Time stretched. Sayela's vision blurred again. She felt heavy, as if gravity had increased just for her. Elias, she whispered. I'm here. If I cannot continue, you must. No, he interrupted. We don't talk like that. The pod creaked again. But this time, there was something different beneath the sound. A vibration. Rhythmic! Elias's eyes snapped open. Wait, he said. He pressed his ear to the wall. There it was again. A distant, steady hum. Not random stress. External machinery, he said. heavy. Sciella focused with effort. Rescue? Maybe, he said. Or maybe something worse. The vibration grew stronger, then faded, then returned. Scilla's skin patterns shifted, weak but curious.
If they are attempting extraction, then the shaft is unstable, Elias finished.
Which means standard protocol will be slow. She swallowed. Slow is not survivable. Elias's mind raced, calculations layered over instinct. Wait.
Angle. Stress points.
He looked at the wall panel again, then at the tilt of the pod. I can stabilize it, he said suddenly. Sciella stared at him. From inside? Temporarily? He said. If I brace the load, that would place extreme force on your body. Yeah, he said. That's the downside. You will be injured, she said. Probably, he replied. But it buys time. She shook her head weakly. Your species is illogical. He smiled. Only when survival is on the line. Another vibration rippled through the pod, stronger now. Elias moved quickly, despite his fatigue. He wedged his multi-tool into a structural seam, extending it to act as a brace. Then he positioned himself beneath the stressed section, feet planted, back against the wall, arms locked.
Selah watched in horror and awe. You cannot replace a structural support, she said.
I'm not replacing it, he replied, teeth clenched. I'm supplementing. The next vibration hit harder. Pain exploded through Elias's legs and spine. He grunted, muscles screaming as he held position. Elias! Scylla cried. Still here, he said, breath ragged. Just don't move. The pod steadied slightly. Scylla realized what he was doing. He was turning himself into part of the machine. Tears blurred her vision as she watched his body shake under the strain.
Why?
She whispered. He managed a strained laugh. Because I'm bad at waiting. Minutes dragged by. Each vibration tested him further. His vision narrowed, edges darkening. But the pod held. Finally, the vibration stopped. Elias sagged, collapsing to the floor with a broken gasp. Scylla crawled to his side, hands shaking as she scanned him. You are severely overexerted, she said. Microfractures, muscle damage. He smiled, weakly. But alive? Yes, she said softly. I'm possibly. The console flickered again, this time staying on. A signal icon pulsed faintly. Scylla stared at it, then at Elias. You bought time, she said. He closed his eyes. That's what humans do. And in the dim, tilted elevator, surrounded by failing systems and thin air, the universe was forced to wait just a little longer for a human to stop breathing. The signal icon stayed on. It pulsed slowly, like a tired heartbeat, but it did not disappear. Scylla stared at it for several seconds before she trusted it enough to breathe again. Her hand shook as she adjusted the scanner and ran it over the console. It is real, she said, voice unsteady. A rescue signal, low strength but active. Elias lay on the floor, eyes closed, chest rising in shallow breaths. Every part of his body hurt. Pain spread in waves, dull and sharp at the same time. He felt heavy, as if gravity had doubled. That's good, he murmured. Means someone knows we're here. Scylla moved to his side and scanned him again. The readings made her chest tighten. You should not have survived that strain, she said. Your skeletal structure shows damage. Your muscles are near failure. Yeah, Elias said, weakly. My body's filing complaints.
I'll read them later. She placed a steadying hand near his shoulder, careful not to cause more pain.
You cannot perform another stabilization like that. Wasn't planning to, he said, One-time heroics only. The elevator creaked softly, as if offended by the word heroic. Sayla looked up at the ceiling. If rescue teams are active, they will attempt extraction soon. Soon is relative, Elias said.
How do they usually do it?
She hesitated. Standard procedure involves locking the shaft, then sedating occupants to reduce panic and oxygen use. The pod is then shifted into alignment. Elias opened one eye. Sedating us? Yes, she said. It is considered humane, he frowned. For most species, maybe. You are concerned, she observed. Sedatives mess with human breathing, he said, especially when oxygen is already low. Sayla's skin darkened slightly.
I was not aware.
Yeah,
He said.
human bodies are dramatic. The signal icon pulsed again, brighter this time. Sayla checked the scanner. They are scanning for life signs. Then we need to stay responsive, Elias said. If they knock us out, we don't get a say. You are in no condition to argue, she said gently.
Never stopped me before, he replied. The elevator vibrated faintly as distant machinery moved again.
This time, the sound was clearer, closer. Sayla steadied herself against the wall. They are attempting to stabilize the shaft. Elias closed his eyes and pictured the structure above and below them. He imagined the forces, the angles, the stress points. They'll try to straighten us, he said. Yes, she replied. That is correct. And if they do it wrong, he said slowly, the pod could slip. Sayla's eyes widened. That risk exists.
Elias exhaled through his teeth.
Then we need to control the process. She stared at him. From inside. He nodded slightly. I can guide them. You have no direct communication link, she said. Not yet, he replied. With visible effort, Elias pushed himself up to a sitting position. His arms trembled, but he did not fall. Elias, Sayla said urgently, you are exceeding safe limits. Safe limits are suggestions, he said. Especially when you're human. He crawled toward the open wall panel, dragging one leg slightly. Each movement sent pain flashing through him, but he focused on the task. Sayla followed, torn between helping and stopping him. Elias reached into the panel and adjusted a narrow band transmitter, rerouting power from a non-essential system. Okay, he muttered. If alien engineers are anything like us, they left a maintenance ping channel open. He tapped the console, fingers clumsy but determined. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the console chimed softly. Sayla gasped.
You have opened a channel. Maintenance only, Elias said. Short range.
But it's something. He leaned closer and spoke clearly, forcing strength into his voice. This is Elias Ward, human engineer, trapped in elevator pod section 7-4.
We are alive. Do not sedate.
Repeat, do not sedate. Static crackled, then a voice answered. Calm, professional, alien. Occupant! Identify species and condition. Sayla leaned in. This is Sayla, xenobiologist. One human, one Cathari. Human condition is critical but stable.
Sedation is contraindicated.
There was a pause. Your recommendation is noted, the voice said. However, standard protocol. Standard protocol will kill him, Sayla said sharply, surprising even herself.
Just procedure. Another pause. Longer this time. Elias felt his strength draining fast.
He slumped slightly, vision blurring.
Listen,
he said, forcing the words out. The pod is tilted and wedged. If you try to realign it without internal counterforce, it will slip.
I can stabilize it manually during extraction,
Silence?
Sciela's heart pounded. He is telling the truth, she added.
He has already done so once,
The voice returned, slower now.
Manual internal stabilization is not recommended.
Probability of fatal injury exceeds.
Yeah,
Elias said. For me.
not for the pod.
Another vibration rippled through the elevator.
Time is limited.
The voice said. Prepare for extraction attempt.
Elias looked at Sciela. This is the part where you tell me not to. She shook her head, eyes shining.
I will not. He gave a tired smile. Good. With great effort, Elias repositioned himself beneath the stressed section again. His body protested every movement. Pain screamed through him, louder than before. Sciela braced herself opposite him, not to take the load, but to anchor him if he slipped. You should not be able to do this, she whispered.
Humans are full of surprises, he replied through clenched teeth. The machinery above them roared to life.
The pod shifted slightly. Elias locked his arms and legs, turning his body into a living brace. His muscles burned, then went numb, then burned again. Sela counted his breaths aloud, slow and steady, giving him rhythm. Good, she said. Stay with me. The pressure increased. Elias screamed, a raw sound torn from his chest, but he did not move. The pod steadied.
Alignment improving,
the voice on the comm said. Continue. Seconds felt like hours. Elias's vision narrowed to a tunnel. He focused on Sela's voice, on her presence. Then, suddenly, the pressure eased. The pod shifted again, this time smoothly. Extraction successful, the voice announced. Pod secured. Elias collapsed forward, consciousness slipping. Sciela caught him, lowering him carefully to the floor. Elias, she said urgently.
Stay awake.
He smiled faintly.
Did it work?
Yes, she said, tears streaking down her face.
It worked. Medical teams arrived moments later, cutting into the pod with precision. Cool, fresh air rushed in, sharp and wonderful.
Hands lifted Elias gently onto a stretcher. Machines beeped, lights flashed. As he was carried out, he heard voices murmuring. Surprise, disbelief, respect. Sciela followed close behind, exhausted but upright. As the doors closed on the ruined elevator, one truth was already clear to everyone involved. The human should not have survived. But he had decided to anyway. The medical bay was too bright. That was Elias Ward's first clear thought when consciousness returned. White light pressed against his eyelids, sharp and demanding. He groaned softly and tried to move, immediately regretting it. Pain answered from everywhere at once, deep, heavy, and exhausting.
Don't move,
a calm voice said. Elias forced one eye open. The ceiling above him was smooth and unfamiliar, glowing faintly. Alien technology. Medical tech. So I'm not dead, he muttered. That assessment is correct, the voice replied. He turned his head slightly and saw Sciela standing beside the medical bed. She looked different, cleaner, rested. But her eyes were fixed on him with an intensity that made his chest feel tight. Hey, he said weakly. You... Look, alive. Her shoulders sagged, relief finally breaking through her control.
You are impossible. Yeah,
he said.
I hear that a lot.
A medical drone hovered closer, projecting soft symbols into the air. Another voice, this one official, spoke from behind a screen. Human Elias Ward, you have sustained extensive muscular trauma, multiple microfractures, and extreme metabolic stress. Survival probability upon extraction was below 3%. Elias closed his eye again.
Still better odds than some bets I've made.
Sela made a sound that might have been laughter, Might have been something else. You were unconscious for 16 hours, she said. Your body required significant intervention. What kind? He asked. Human-specific care, she replied.
Your species' medical data has been rapidly updated. That got his attention. He opened his eye again.
Updated how? She hesitated. You forced it to be. In the days that followed, Elias healed slowly. Humans healed slower than many galactic species, but they healed stubbornly. Pain came and went. Strength returned in uneven pieces. Every movement reminded him of what he had done, and of what it had cost. Sayela visited every day. Sometimes she spoke. Sometimes she just sat. On the fourth day, she brought a small data tablet. My report has been submitted, she said. To who? Elias asked. The Galactic Council, she replied. He winced.
That sounds expensive. It is mandatory, she said.
Incidents involving cross-species survival anomalies always are.
Anomalies, he repeated. Nice word. She activated the tablet, projecting text into the air.
It is now classified as the Ward Ciela elevator event, she said.
He stared.
They named it? Yes. Of course they did, he muttered. Her expression grew serious.
Elias, my conclusions were not minor. He looked at her. What did you tell them? She took a breath. I told them that humans should not be classified by physical durability alone, she said. That your species compensates for biological weakness with cognitive persistence, adaptability, and extreme willingness to absorb personal cost.
He smiled faintly. You make it sound noble.
It is terrifying, she said honestly. He blinked. Oh! In my report, she continued, I stated that humans do not merely survive emergencies, they redefine them. Silence settled between them.
What happens now?
He asked quietly. Sayela looked away for a moment. Human safety protocols across mixed species facilities are being revised. Elevators, life support systems, sedation guidelines. He chuckled weakly. All because I got stuck in a box.
All because you refused to stop, she corrected.
When Elias was finally cleared to walk again, the station felt different. People, aliens of many species, looked at him longer than necessary, not with fear, not with admiration alone, with curiosity. Wood had spread. The human who became a structural support, the human who argued with rescue protocol while half broken, the human who survived on emergency sustenance not meant for him and made it work anyway. Sayela walked beside him through the wide corridor. You are now considered noteworthy.
Great, Elias said.
Does that come with free meals?
She made the same almost laugh sound again. They stopped at a wide observation window overlooking the station's interior. Ships moved slowly beyond the transparent barrier, silent and distant. Elias, Sayela said, do you regret it? He thought about the pain, the fear, the thin air, the moment when his body almost gave up. Then he thought about her.
No, he said. I don't. She studied him.
Even knowing you could have died? He shrugged carefully. Humans die doing nothing, too. At least this way, it mattered. Her skin shifted to a thoughtful hue. I have been asked to assist in further studies, she said. Regarding human survival psychology. Oh no, he said. You're gonna put us in more elevators. No, she replied quickly. Simulations only. Good, he said. I charge extra for real ones. She smiled, fully this time. Weeks later, Sayela stood before the Galactic Council chambers, her report complete, questions answered. Her final statement was entered into permanent record. Humans, she said, are not the strongest species. They are not the fastest. They are not the most resilient by standard measures. The chamber was silent. But when faced with extinction-level inconvenience, she continued, they do something extraordinary. They adapt. They refuse. They decide that survival is not optional. And then they make the universe adjust. The record was sealed. Back on the station, Elias sat in a small maintenance bay, tools in hand, already back at work, lighter duty this time. A fellow engineer glanced at him.
You know, they're calling you a legend now.
Elias snorted. They can call me whatever they want. Just don't call me for elevator repairs. He looked up at the ceiling, at the systems that hummed quietly, doing their jobs. The universe was big, dangerous, unfair, and humans were still fragile. But as long as they kept thinking, adapting, and refusing to lie down quietly, they would keep surviving. Even in places they were never meant to, even when the universe expected them to stop.